Hail and well met, friends! Andang here for a special spin-off thing called Elder Scrolls Online Chat, where we will be talking about the recent pre-order announcements for Elder Scrolls Online and our reactions to the thoughts, because um, they're controversial to say the least on the internet. There are a wide range of opinions on them, and to help me go through this, I of course have Atharos
Hello.
and Draculetta.
Hey, everybody.
All right, so starting off, I would like to say that I am a big Elder Scrolls fan. I played through Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, all those, and I'm very excited for Elder Scrolls Online and have been. That being said, the announcement of these pre-orders did kind of quell it a little bit, to be honest. So let's go ahead and start off here with the two editions. So first of all, there's the digital editions anyway. There's the digital standard edition, which is 60 US dollars, and there is the Imperial Edition, which is $80. So let's go ahead and go into talk about the first item here, which is the standard edition. And that's just all the talking about what is included in the game. But you get a pre-purchase bonus, including 5 days early access, which is really good. A lot of MMOs do similar things like that, so nothing really shocking. You get to play any race in any alliance, which is something that they said they weren't going to do, but apparently if you pre-order, that's now you can now do that. So that's good, I guess. Is anybody opposed to that or anything, or is that good?
There are exceptions to every rule. I think race and alliance is the same.
Okay. And there's also a vanity pet, and then there's also these bonus treasure maps, which will lead you to hidden chests full of loot. So apparently, people who pre-order can find certain chests that other players can't find, or they just get the ability to find them quicker or something like that. So it's a little bit of an advantage there.
And that's kind of iffy with me. I guess it depends on what's actually in those chests. I mean, I guess it depends, how good the loot actually is.
Right.
Because, that's kind of, to me, that's kind of treading that pay-to-win line.
Yeah, if it's like end game stuff that's better than what you
Exactly.
can craft or anything like that, then yeah, that's way too far.
Yeah, but they really haven't given any details on really the pre-order items in general, so there's not there's no telling how good that loot will be or how bad it'll be. And then we go on to the Imperial Edition. Real quick, the Imperial Edition does have everything that the previous edition had, but then right off the bat, the biggest thing that they are clearly marketing is this exclusive content that allows you to play as an Imperial, an entire race that is blocked off unless you pay for this exclusive extra $20 to get this extra exclusive content. I have big issues with this. The Imperial is the race that I play. That's the one that I have. There's first of all, they did say that they weren't going to include Imperials in this game, and I was fine with that. And then they turn around for pre-orders, and oh hey, yeah, if you want to pay 20 extra bucks, we have an Imperial for you to play. Not excited about that. Also, you don't just limit races in an Elder Scrolls game to people who pay an edition that is exclusive to that edition, meaning that if you don't buy the collector's edition, you might never be able to play as an Imperial. And I compare that to Lotro. If when Lotro launched, they said, all right, pick your favorite race. You can't play that, you have to pay 20 extra bucks. But the other people who have their other favorite races, they can play theirs and just at normal cost. It's fine. What do you guys think about that? Tharos.
Well, I mean, just gaining it behind a pre-order for the initial game launch is stupid. I think, like, what I'm even more curious as to what they do after the game launches, like whether they will bring this back. I think they will bring it back, assuming they haven't already for some way of upgrading or buying on its own. But they've pretty much talked themselves into a corner with this, because if they don't bring it back in some way, then the people are going to have this unfair advantage in terms of having, well, not necessarily an advantage, but an unfair addition to their gameplay that most other players won't have, especially those who start playing after the game launches. And if they do go back and do it, then it kind of tarnishes the whole this is an exclusive thing, and it kind of makes you feel like the money isn't worth it.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. What do you think, Drac?
Well, to be honest, my first reaction was I could sort of understand this if this was like a free-to-play game, because then it would kind of make sense, because usually, free-to-play games, if you subscribe, you get some bonuses, or if you want to pay, you can get some bonuses. Like, for example, DDO did that with the monk class. You had to either subscribe to be able to play the monk, or you had to buy it. But this is not a free-to-play game, and they claim it's never going to be a free-to-play game, but of course a lot of people say that. So this just seems really weird that they're including a whole other race in a pre-order. To me, it just screams, I hate to say it, but it screams desperation to me.
It honestly does, or at the very least, a complete lack of understanding of what
Common
you're selling
sense.
and common sense and the MMO industry as a whole. Because you don't just make a race cost $20 more than the other ones at launch. Now, if you include another race in an expansion or something like that, that's better, because then everyone is getting it at the same time. There's only one version. You all get the new thing. I'm fine with that. But having it be in just one tier is just ridiculous, I think. And if it really is exclusive, if you really can't ever get this again without buying this edition, I think that is probably the biggest mistake that they've made by far. I'd like to also point out that it allows you to gain unique bonuses like crafting styles, gear, and more. And including an entire tree for the Imperials. At least that's what most people are assuming, since each race does have their own specific tree. So it'd be kind of weird if they didn't. So that means that they get all this content. I mean, that's a ton of content, not to mention, at least at the beginning, crafting rights that other people will either have to work for or can't even get to. And so that's a ton of exclusive content, way beyond anything I've heard of in an MMO, to be honest. I've never heard of an entire race that's, especially in a really lore-based series like this, that is only available in that version.
Oh, no, you're right. The whole thing is just very odd. And it's almost like, let's just throw a bunch of stuff together and see what people are willing to pay for.
Yeah, and that's why I think that people need to take a stand against this and not buy the collector's edition.
I think that what this reminds me of in terms of the kind of what are you thinking sort of thing is Lotro's hobby horse thing they were doing last year, I believe it was, where they were going to go, like, we're thinking of selling this for $50 worth of Turbine points, and as you should expect, people got upset about it and it got pulled, and as far as I know, hasn't been mentioned since. It's this sort of thing where you wonder who actually thought this was a good idea in terms of, putting this in. It just confuses me that this actually got through so many people in the company.
Yeah, but at the same time, at least the hobby horse, you just are paying for that. And it's not this different tier thing at the launch of the game. And it's not like, the hobby horse isn't exactly a key feature. It's just, okay, you get to have a different cosmetic look on your horse. This is an entire race with an entire tree, all that crafting gear, all that stuff exclusive. And so I think that it's a way bigger deal than anything that Lotro's done before. And it really makes me angry at them for doing this. And I really do think that we need to take a stand here so that they don't continue down this road of having this content that you have to pay extra for in addition to a subscription that you're already paying for. Plus, it's beyond, the base game. That's a lot of stuff that you're having to pay for, and it's exclusive. And so on both ends of the spectrum, I think it's not a good idea. And particularly if they do include this later and make you pay $20 instead of giving it free to subscribers or free in the next expansion or something like that, I think that will be their biggest mistake yet.
Oh, yeah. Having that payment on top of the box and then on top of the subscription, it's just going to ruin their reputation in the online community anyway.
And it really... go ahead, Jack.
Well, I was going to say KHL in the chat said they're inching the free-to-play monetization into the box subscription model.
And without any of the free stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And he said basically they're inching the line over for consumers and looking around to see if anybody notices, and then if they make a fuss.
Exactly, and that's my biggest fear, is that they will continue to go even further, because don't get me wrong, this is definitely the marketing team. It's not the developers, I don't think. I don't think that the developers had an idea.
Oh, it's definitely marketing.
That.
I mean, this screams marketing.
Right. And so marketers are not like developers. They don't necessarily care the best thing for the individual consumer. They are wanting to sell things in such a way that make players think that this is a really good deal and all that stuff, and try to put spins on it and try to basically get as much money for their company as possible, because that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. But if they don't have anybody that opposes it, then they'll think that they can go even further and try to get even more money from us. And if we don't stop it, then they will just keep going and keep going. That's kind of what's happened to Lotro, where there hasn't been enough pushback, and people do, even if they oppose it verbally, they still pay with their wallet and vote with their wallet and buy the things that they shouldn't be buying if they really are against it. And that's why people really shouldn't buy this version if they have a problem with it.
And if you do, as you said, vote with your wallet against it, it does, or it can work. And I really remember the whole fury over the Rise of Rohan pre-order. People were very upset during that time, and Turbine did respond pretty quickly to that and changed it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that the initial sales weren't quite as good as what they wanted, and so they added in extra things and changed it and got it to be good. And same thing happened with Helm's Deep. They added in turbine points and added in other things to make it be a better deal. And if they didn't do that, then they would have lost a lot of sales. And so hopefully, hopefully ZeniMax will think of a way to incentivize players on a digital level without having this kind of exclusive content. And I would honestly like to see them give a refund, or say you can buy, this exclusive content you can buy for less money later on or something like that, or it's free if you're, for content later on down the line in an expansion or something like that. And provide a partial refund for players that are, going to be upset because, okay, now this is going to be free later down the line. And I think that's really the only way they can solve this problem. To fully go and solve it completely. But what do you guys think? How can they solve this?
You go, Dre.
Gee, thanks. I think you're right on an ending. I think the only way to solve it is, just like you said, it's going to have to be offered later. Somehow, but then again, it's really weird because this is not a free-to-play game, so you can't do it out of a cash shop, so you're going to have to do it, in like an expansion
But the thing is,
or
they
an
have
add-on.
stated that they do have a cash shop, so they can do it in their cash shop.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I did read that there was going to be a cash shop.
In
So
game.
yeah.
In game, yeah.
Oh. Mm.
So yeah, that I think that would be the only way they can salvage this is if, say it's exclusively pre-order for, 2 months or whatever,
Right, and
insert
then
X
make it free
amount of
for
time
everyone
here
after
and
that, or something
correct.
like that. Because I think
Are
even if they do put it in a cash shop and they actually charge for it, I still think that that's kind of on the wrong side for $20. Because that's a lot for just one race that you're going to play. But I mean, I would be willing to do that, but still, I think that would cause issues with people as well because you're paying VIP for a reason. You want to be able to get all the content and not have to worry about buying anything except for expansions, which are these huge content updates that are like the Dawn Guard size or Dragonborn size DLC, or even bigger. That are these mammoth expansions that you have to pay for. Everything else you should be getting free with your expansion, and this is kind of ridiculous. Alright. Anything else on the Imperial purchase? On that particular point?
Nope.
Alright, well, also in the edition you do get a Imperial White Horse, which is, pretty typical. Most MMOs have some type of speed boost mount thing that's special, or, starship or something like that. You get a mud crab vanity pet, which a lot of people are big fans of mud crabs. So that's actually probably a fairly big draw for some people, and for some people, it's like, well, whatever. The Rings of Mara. Now, a lot of people do have issues with the Rings of Mara because what it allows you to do is gain experience when you play together with a player you choose, and a lot of people are complaining because you shouldn't be allowed to gain XP in the because there's the race to level 50 at the beginning to see who gets there first, and if somebody's using these rings, then that's you can't really have that race anymore. So, what do you guys think about that?
I'm
Oh,
fine with the rings. I mean, that doesn't bother me in the least bit. I mean,
I've never really cared for the whole let's see who can get the max level cap the fastest sort of thing.
exactly. Yeah, I'm not one to ever race to end game in any game. So, I mean, if
Mm.
people want to do it, more power to them.
I actually like the whole mechanic they have with the rings where you get the experience bonus when you're playing with that person. So I think this is mainly appealing to like casual couples playing. Like you have a lot of those in Lotro. I think people who are fans of the Elder Scrolls will do that same thing there, where they just log on together and play, and then yeah, that I could see that being a very appealing thing. It's probably the most appealing of these outside of the Imperial.
Right, and I agree. I think it's a really cool idea that they're including this into the game, and I think that it's definitely good to reward players working together like that. I think this is a cool thing. But I can see where people are coming from on the whole race to cap. Even though I don't like to race to cap, I do like to kind of watch people race to cap, and that's kind of a cool thing to see how people actually, how quickly someone can actually get there without any XP boost or anything like that. And then, does anybody have anything else on the Digital Imperial Edition?
Yep.
Alright, well, there is also the Retail Imperial Edition, which includes things like the Molag Bal statue, which is it looks like an awesome thing. I'm if it wasn't for the fact that it included the exclusive Imperial class, which I'm boycotting, I would definitely get this edition. It looks amazing. You get an art book that has 224 pages of illustrated stuff, and you get a map of Tamriel, plus all the stuff in the digital Imperial for $100. So for $20, you get a 222 page illustrated guide. You get a map of Tamriel, and you get a Molag Bal statue. I think that's a really good deal.
Yeah, I think I particularly like the guide to Tamriel. I mean, 224 pages is quite a lot for just something you're putting into a edition for a video game, especially when it's annotated and stuff like that too.
Yeah, Lotro had a pretty big book, but I don't think it was quite that big. But they did have an art book at launch, and it's pretty typical for most MMOs have an art book, and sometimes they include soundtracks and things like that. And there's usually a statue like Swotor had the now I can't think of his name, the big bad guy. They had a big figure of him. So each of these. Go ahead, Drac.
Well, I was going to say Guild Wars 2 did a edition with a statue as well, so that's pretty much standard fare.
Yeah, so it's pretty much typical, but still I have to boycott this because it includes that exclusive class, and I don't think that that's right, and I'm going to vote with my money. If, let's say that you guys were going to buy an edition, which edition would you buy, and why? And let's assume that the Imperial class was taken out, just to make things interesting. And I would buy this retail Imperial Edition, assuming it didn't contain the Imperial race, and that was included with ESO, or just not there at all. What do you think, Atharos?
I'd probably just go for the standard edition. Since the stuff in the Imperial Edition, like aside from the Imperial, is pretty good, especially the retail version, but it's not enough that I'd actually shell out the extra money for it. I would just settle for that and the standard and be happy with that.
Okay. What about you, Drac?
I think if I had the money and it didn't include the race, I would go to the retail because that book looks amazing and that statue looks just awesome.
Yeah, especially after watching through that trailer, that statue just brings back all that excitement from the trailer, I think. So I think it's a really cool piece of stuff, but it's too bad that they had to include that Imperial class there. Anything else before we close out?
Nothing aside from saying, if you are someone who's not very happy with this decision to just put in the Imperial race there, don't be afraid to actually, vote with your wallet on it. If you just cave in and buy it anyway, like a lot of people have done, and I used to do with Lotro a lot, you're basically encouraging them to keep doing it and to go even further in the future.
Yeah, and track records from MMO companies show that does happen with pretty much every single one, and to be honest, ZeniMax had a really good community going, and they had a lot of things going, but now I'm not so sure if I trust them, and so I have to kind of put up a guard and oppose them here so that we don't have to oppose them on something much worse later down the line, which I can't imagine how it could get too much worse, but I also have said that same thing about Lotro and other games, so I think we definitely do have to oppose them here. But if you do decide to go ahead and purchase it, more power to you. Enjoy the game. Don't try to feel bad about it or anything like that. Have fun with the game. But I think that if you want to prevent from them continuing to invade on your wallet in the years to come, I strongly urge people not to buy the Imperial Edition and just get the base game and enjoy not having that add-on race.
Yeah, what people say, like, the only language that companies in general understand is the language of money. So you need to be as clear as possible of how you think with that language.
That's right, I couldn't agree more. Anything else?
Vote with your wallet.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this this discussion about Elder Scrolls. I am planning to hopefully do some type of playthrough over the summer of ESO. I won't be able to do it when it comes out because, well, that'll be preparing for finals, but that will be going up on my channel. And also, be sure to join us for Locher Players Adventures tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Server Time, where it's a new Lotro podcast where we will be going in a group of 6, going through all of the group content in Lotro from the start. So we'll be starting about between levels 20 and 30 and advancing on to future group content and going through all the classic stuff that many people just look over now because it's not at the end game. But we want to show that, Lotro really does have all this great content and has just all sorts of great group content that we want to show off and just have fun on the show with friends. So you can join us once again at Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern on this channel or at lotraplayers.com/live. Also on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Server Time, you can join us for Lotro Players News, where we each week discuss the various news that comes up in Lotro, including the recent announcement. This week, we will talk about the recent announcement that the North Downs will actually be revamped, along with several other big news topics that are coming to Lotro. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in Tamriel.